Alex Moreno is a red. Here we go. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well, and welcome to your latest breaking Forest transfer news. And there is so much to update you on. We've got a here we go. We've got striker chaos at Nottingham Forest. We've got old loanees linked. We've got old soldiers from the Championship about to depart, and plenty more to talk about. So if you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new, and check out the latest prize you can get from Football Prizes. It's another double framed signed shirt from the Brick Walls, Murillo and Bolly. Hang this up in your room loud and proud. What a partnership that is. You can get that, and you can also get an insta-win prize of Felipe. I miss you, Felipe. Damn you, Ant. Or Tuffalo as well. I don't really know how many of you want that, but maybe you do. If you want a chance to win that, scan the QR code that's on the screen or click on the pinned comments down below. And let's jump into this jam-packed news episode. So Alex Moreno is a red. The player who said he was happy to stay at Villa. The player who rejected Forest 2 years ago when it was all said and done and told his fans, I love you guys, I'm staying. Has now come full circle, full U-turn, Usher style, and decided to join Forest. This was broken by Fabrizio Romano while we were live doing Reds versus Blue. By the way, man, it was fun to record. I don't know what it was like to watch, but if you want to check it out, me and Chappie chatting crap, as always, go check it out. I'll leave it on the end screen. Watch it at the end of this video. But let me read you out what Romano has tweeted. Exclusive! Nottingham Forest agree a deal to sign Alex Moreno from Aston Villa with medical booked on Wednesday morning. Initial loan deal with a buy option. Agreement in place. Here we go. And that's it. So Moreno is coming in on a loan deal. Now, I've said when we were first linked to him, he's not my choice. I think there was other players we could have got. It was more so the fact that he rejected us, the fact that he still says he was happy at Villa and all this stuff. But he's here. And I would only see this working for me personally if Aina doesn't get dropped. That's the key for it. Now, we know Aina may have an injury. Still, there's been no update on it, by the way. So in my mind, this actually could work. Let me talk you through it. All you do is you shift Aina to right back, you shift Alex Moreno to left back, and you drop Nico Williams. And when I look at it like that, I see it making sense. I see an improvement. Now, what I will not be happy with is if Aina is dropped and Alex Moreno comes in and Nico Williams is left as the #1 choice right back. I still think Aina is as good as a left back as he is a right back and has to play. I don't think, for me, it's not a debate. He's one of our best players. And I just worry, because some of you, I've said this before, putting him to right back, but then a lot of you have said, well, what about his link up with Callum Hudson-Odoi? And it's something that, you know what, when someone raises a good point, I can acknowledge it. And I think, shout out to you guys who acknowledged it. It's a great point. But maybe he could then go and establish a partnership on the right wing with Naranga, or ideally a Jota Silva, or maybe Sosa, who I think might start playing on that right-hand side. And that may give us better balance. Look, Alex Moreno, as old as he is, and as much as he didn't want to come to Forest, and as much as he's going to say he wanted to come to Forest, and he'll get the script, direct club, back-to-back European titles, atmosphere, city ground, da-da-da-da-da. We all know the script that they're given now when they sign. Still a good player. I'm not convinced by him, but of course, as always, he's a red now, so we back him. We happily back him. He will be able to get up and down the pitch. But the thing that worries me is his injury record. His injury record last season was horrific for Aston Villa. In fact, he was out from April until pretty much July, and he was out from whatever months before October, September, until nearly December. So really, he was only available for Villa in between December and mid-April. So I do worry about his injury record. And of course, the likes of Ant will tell you, as you get older, you know, the bones start to creak a little more and what have you. So I do think that could be a problem for us. But that's the news on Alex Moreno. Happy he's here as long as Aina stays in the team. That's my red line on this signing. Now I've got some other stuff to tell you about where my red lines have been crossed. So let's get into those. All right, so let's move on to the striker topic, and let me give you an update on an absolute whirlwind day about updates on Nketiah and Gimenez as well. So where do I start? Okay, so Nketiah obviously was rejected, as we told you the other day, and I said what I said last night. I was a little tired, but I stand by what I said on him. I don't want him. But here's the thing. He doesn't want to take a salary cut. He's on 120k basic at Arsenal, and he doesn't want to take a cut, which really tells you where he stands in terms of his motivations, in terms of trying to prove that he is a Premier League player or a striker. Now, I can't blame him. If someone offered, my dream job would be to be a substitute goalkeeper in the Premier League, man. You know, at worst, you're playing 2 games. You get a front row seat at a match, and you're going to get 100k in the bank. So he is living my second best dream job by being a player who's not going to get, in fact, a reserve goalkeeper at Arsenal is more likely to come on as a striker than he is for them. Anyway, I'm not gonna go into him. Not his fault. He's crap. So this shows to me that his ambitions isn't to prove to everyone or to advance his career or to show that he has a willingness to take a cut, and then he can prove himself, and then suddenly Forest would have to be forced to offer him a new contract because he scored 6 million goals in the season, and we have to sign him up on a long-term contract to protect the asset and so on. No, he wants the 120k or he's not moving. And I don't think he's earned it. That would make him the highest paid player at Nottingham Forest currently. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's Chris Wood at 95k, something like that. Morgan Gibbs-White, a couple of others are just behind him. So it would jump him straight to the front of the queue. And would that necessarily mean that he jumps to the front of the queue on the pitch as well? Well, if Forest are going to spend the 30 million that Arsenal want, then it would have to. So how's that gonna make the atmosphere between him, Chris Wood, and Taiwo? The new kid on the block comes in. He's getting paid more than us. He scored less goals than us in his whole career compared to what we've scored in one season, and he's just gonna jump the queue. Another reason I don't want this deal. Now let's spin this to Gimenez. Now Gimenez, who we told you spoke to Marinakis Jr., spoke to Nuno. He wants to stay at Feyenoord for another year. He's not sold on the Forest dream. There's been reports to say that he's worried about coming to Forest, missing out on Champions League football at Feyenoord, having to fight a relegation battle, having maybe his reputation tarnished. And that's put me off him as well. I'm going to be honest with you. So Forest are coming to a bit of an impasse at the moment. Either they have to pay Arsenal the 30 million fee. Arsenal won't budge on this one. And if they do, they're silly, because they could have sold Nketiah way earlier in the transfer window to Marseille, who gave him a 25 mil package. So if they're not going to budge on this 5 million, Forest are going to have to stump up 30 million, 120k a week minimum. Remember, that's what he's on. Whenever a player moves, they want an increase in their salary. He's going to have to relocate himself. I don't know if he's got a family, but they would have to as well. Or they're going to have to convince Gimenez of the project that he won't be fighting a relegation battle. Don't worry about missing Champions League this year. We'll bring it to you at the City Ground next year. I don't know. Marinakis is a great salesman, no doubt. You know, they're going to have to convince that, or it's not going to happen. But there is a third option. Now, this third option is the secret option, apparently. Forest are in talks with a third striker. This has not been revealed. Now, by process of elimination, and my heart skipping a couple of beats, I'm hoping it is Moukoko, because we know Forest have been linked with him. We know there's talks about that happening, but not confirmed in these reports. So, this is where we are with the strikers. Long-winded, I'm basically saying, I don't know if we're any further forward. Now, I've said that, someone's going to go and do a here we go on Nketiah, and I'm going to shut the channel down. Get your thoughts in down below. Okay, so let's bring you another link, and this is Dan Juma. Yeah, he's a good player. I actually really do rate him. He's been at Bournemouth, he's been at Spurs, he's been at, who was he at last year? Everton, all these teams. I think he was really good at Bournemouth, but he did struggle to get into the team at Spurs and even in Everton last season. He's back at his parent club at Villarreal. I do highly rate him, and Forest are being linked with him for some reason. And like, look, I like the player, but the question before like me liking the player has to be, why? Because he's another winger. In my eyes, he's like, he can play either left or right. He can play as a false nine as well. I think he's better out wide. But we've already been recruiting these wingers. Now, all I can think of with this one is there's definitely, if this is the case and this is true, then it's showing to me that Nuno's not really behind this Jota Silva signing. Because why is he going and asking or being told to have another winger on his hands? Look, these rumours and things are not that strong, in my opinion, on Danjuma, but it's one doing the rounds and one that, you know, I thought maybe we'll get your juices flowing down in the comments. So, do you guys think we need another winger in this window or not? Let me know down below. And what do you think of Danjuma? I honestly think, give him a run in the team, that old cliche, and he will do really well in the Premier League. I got so many more stories to tell you guys, so like, feel sorry for me a little. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV, you know, as a quick reminder. And don't forget, I'll be on Nots TV tonight at 8. So make sure you check that out, where I'll be talking about, yeah, Forest. Anyway, let's move on to the next story. And this is about Joe Worrall. Joe Worrall, whose transfer dealings have gone very quiet over the last few weeks, where he was heavily linked with Sheffield United, or should I say Sheffield, has now maybe found himself a new home at Burnley. Burnley are now coming in saying they're interested in the Forest defender to bring him back into the Championship under Parker. Sorry for you, Worrall. I really can't stand Parker. But joking aside, I think this is a good fit. He's going into a team that's currently in decent form. They just beat plucky Luton the other week, didn't they? They're at the high end of the table. And this, I think, would be a decent move for Joe Worrall. And more importantly, would mean that Forest get full profit and a sale on him. Remember, him coming through the academy means that any pennies, pounds, shillings, pence that we get for him all goes to the bottom line on PSR. So Joe Worrall is an important player that Forest must move on to help the flow of the books this year for PSR. Yes, we are now fully PSR established in the Premier League, but we still need to buy it and sell when it comes to making sure the numbers balanced. So I think this one makes sense to me. We will see whether or not this one happens. We haven't seen Joe Worrall in the first game against Bournemouth. He wasn't on the bench or anything like that. So I think the expectation is definitely that he will go. And will Burnley now be the club he leaves to? Let's wait and find out. Alright, I ain't done. More stories to tell you about. As remember Ribeiro, oh, that nearly rhymes, from last season, the young gun Portuguese player who we had on loan and barely got any minutes in the tank on the pitch for Forest, has been linked with a move back. And I don't know what these old flame loanees thing that we're doing right now is all about. We were gonna link to an old loney flame. Loddy, love you, bro. I miss you. I'd take you back. Anyway, the link is that he's coming back. Now, initially, when Forest bought him on loan, there was talks that there was going to be an option / obligation to buy him come the end of the season. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if this one happens, because I think maybe, speculating here again, that the story here is that Forest do still want him and to develop him, because apparently Nuno was very impressed with what he saw of him on the training pitch and in the 30 seconds he was getting on game time when he did get onto, you know, the proper matches. So what I think this is about is obviously PSR, making sure that a player like this would come into the new PSR year rather than the old one. So it does have a little logical sense. But I just find it weird that we're linked with so many of our ex-loanees, especially those ones who didn't get much game time. I would take him back. I'll be honest with you, it's not going to be a huge transfer. He showed me enough that he's got future potential for us. We can't just build for the here and now. We need to look ahead as well. So yeah, why not? For me, this one I would be okay with. But would you guys take him? I know a lot of you did like what you saw from him last season. Let me know in the comments down below. Ladies and gents, I think that's about it. I think I covered all the transfer news for you guys. So hopefully you've enjoyed that, or maybe you like some of them, maybe you don't. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget, you can catch me tonight on Notts TV if you're in the Nottinghamshire area at 8 p.m, where I'll be talking all things Forest. If you haven't seen Reds vs Blue, the premiere of the new show, go check it out. I'll leave it on the end screen. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. Come on, you Reds.